Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead in the daylight. Look, I appreciate your comments. You are true patriots. For the ones of you that intentionally misunderstood me, bye, Felicia. I don't know what to tell you. I never said one negative word about the convoy. Not one. I never said the people putting it on were bad. I never said they were part of the World Economic Forum. I never said they were transporting inappropriate goods or any of that nonsense. I simply said I don't see the point in it. And I think it's dangerous for them because Eagle, Pass, and Abbott are a false flag. That is why people can't have conversation in today's world. You don't listen. You know what the Bible says? Blessed are the eyes that see, and blessed are the ears that hear. And some of you need to start hearing and listening to fact instead of knee-jerk reaction of feelings. Your feelings are literally going to get you in trouble. They're going to have you doing things and going places that God never wanted you to do and never wanted you to go. I know, because when I first became a Christian, I had a real hard time discerning between what I felt and what God wanted. God is a God of order, okay? So if what you're dealing with, if what you're trying to do is disorderly or out of order in any way, God is no longer in it. I don't know how that's hard. Maybe we don't teach it enough in schools, obviously not in schools, and we don't teach it in Sunday schools enough. Or our pastors don't preach it from the pulpit. But when God is involved in something, there is order. There is joy. I'm not saying that there isn't going to be some hitches along the way, because Satan's going to throw some. But when God's there, things just go. They flow. There's a flow like water, and nothing can stop it when God gets behind it. Never said one bad word about anybody in that convoy. I'm talking about Abbott, that border, and Tim and these other Republican governors, and I'm Republican, so I can say it, flying people to the interior of our nation. If you can't see how that's going to end up bad, then your eyes are still not seeing. And I pray today, by the end of this video, God will open your spiritual eyes. You don't have to champion every cause because somebody says, hey, I'm a Christian. You don't. I had so much pushback when I did the video on the Samaritan's Purse when I was on Maui. And when I mentioned the Red Cross, such pushback because they're Christian. Guys, don't you remember in the Bible where God says that there will be wolves in sheep's clothing and that so many of you will fall away from the faith because that's who you're going to follow? You need to grow up spiritually. Anybody can claim they love God. Anybody can. I'm just saying, you guys. I'm not trying to be ugly. I love you guys. I love America. I have 2 sons in the military, y'all. That's 2/4 of my heart defending the nation that I try to educate people on. So don't put me in a box and say something I didn't say, because I'm going to call you on it every single time. Because you didn't bother to listen to an entire video and hear me make the points clearly and precisely. It's on you, boo. It's on you. Now, let me tell you what I've been doing today. Woke up this morning. Everything's going amazing. Getting prepared for February 5th. You guys know I've got major mouth surgery. I mean, like taking bones out, here to here cut. So I sorted my seeds last night. So I want to start getting my early spring seeds in the ground. I'm not transplanting this year. I'm seeding because of this. Woke up. 2 of my ladies decided that, hey, did you know we can fly? Let's just out of the electric fence. So I was dealing with that this morning. I literally had a catch net like you use for fishing. And I'm out here like, ring around the rosy with these two hens. Finally, the Holy Spirit's like, okay, look, Sam, work smarter, not harder. Go over here, unattach the solar panel, little box. You can see it right there. That keeps the fence electric. Separate the opening, walk them around. They'll see that little opening and they'll scoot in. And that's exactly what they did. All glory to God, because I literally would have been out here for about 6 hours ringing around the rosy with the hens. Moving on, I'm fixing to get some Frost Hardy carrots, cabbage, broccoli, lettuce, kale, rutabaga. I think that's about it, into the ground. So I'm encouraging guys today, find you even just a 1 foot by 1 foot spot. Pop you in some carrots and some cabbage. Something. Get something into the soil. It's good for your soul. It's good for your physical body. And when everything else falls apart, you can't eat money, but you sure can eat food. Just saying, food will be the new money. So get prepared. God bless you guys. Watch these next couple of clips. I'm going to show you what it looked like when the convoy came through my city. That's about, an hour from here. It wasn't nearly as big as they claimed it was going to be. I just think there's no point in going when on both sides of Eagle Pass, the border's wide open. And yep, Abbott could close the border. He's already defying Supreme Court and the president. Go on, boo. Go all the way. Why isn't he? Because he can't. And neither can Biden, because they have sold us out. We need more Americans to realize the truth, guys. Quit having a play yard pissing match, because nobody's going to pay for that but us and our children. God bless you. I have big orders of compost that are due to go out Saturday. It's supposed to start raining tomorrow. And I'm talking like 1,000 pounds of compost that I get to bag with a shovel. And prepping for surgery, shopping for surgery, getting my animal feed made, because you guys know I make all my own animal feed. I got a lot to do. So God bless you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please start listening to me rather than running off thinking I said something I never did say.
Here, and I don't see Joe Biden hiding in the shadows. I don't see National Guard hiding in the shadows. So I don't know what folks are talking about. If your kids are down here protecting us with the Texas State Guard, the National Guard, don't be worried. Everything's okay. That's something that I take into account. What do parents think about what's going on right now? I'm sure they're completely concerned with all the rhetoric of civil war and civil conflict, which there's absolutely nothing like that going on. There's no violence going on. Nobody's getting crazy, nothing like that. I'm here. I'm right here.
Their way through Louisiana. In fact, they're here right now.
Yeah, the convoy is hoping to make it to the border by the end of the week, and they're picking up support along the way. The whole situation has Congress at odds, and more than half of states, including Louisiana, are siding with Texas over their efforts to secure the border.
Back here at home, protesters have gathered in Denham Springs to greet that convoy as they continue their trip to the border. Our Chris Rosado has spent part of the evening there with them. Chris, what are we expecting out of this tonight?
Yeah, well, the group's calling themselves God's Army and says this whole convoy is part of a week-long protest against President Biden's border policies, where so far in the first quarter of 2024, more than 750,000 migrants have crossed the border illegally. So folks here tonight say they hope this convoy will help shed light on the ongoing situation at the border. What started in Virginia led to Jacksonville, Florida, and now the convoy's making their way here to Denham Springs. Folks who spoke with tonight say they came from different parts all over the country. Here's what one person from Nashville said was the reason they decided to get in their car and head down here.
When they said they were going to cut the wire down there and let them start crossing the border again, they need to close the borders. I grew up in Arizona, man. There was never a problem like that. This is crazy. Our country is being overtaken.
So federal agents are still being denied entry into Shelby Park, Texas, where Texas National Guard has seized control of the border. President Biden gave Texas officials a deadline to stand down, which Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said he refuses to do until the border is secured. Since then, legal action at the federal level has been under consideration, and so far, 25 state governors have come out in support of Texas, including Governor Jeff Landry.
Shelby Park is one of more than a dozen openings where the illegal aliens are coming in, you guys. So you take control of Shelby Park. What about the rest of them? They're literally going to get on their cell phones, call each other, and be like, hey, don't come here. Go down a half a mile. You can go there. The cartel's just going to move the people down where we're not looking, where we're not looking, where we are not looking. Now do you see? Okay, I'm all about supporting closing the border. Thankful for the states that see this as a state right issue, just like what we fought the Civil War over. It wasn't about slavery, you guys. It was so much deeper. Think about if the world continues 150 years from now, when people look back at this moment, whoever wins is going to talk about the narrative. They're going to probably say people like you and I were radical. We hated immigrants. We were racist. We were this. When really it comes down to voting, security, economic, our voices won't even be heard. That's why I say be careful trying to claim the Civil War was all about slavery. It was so much deeper than that. It was about voices not being heard. It was about voting. It was about economy. Just be careful thinking you know everything. There's always two sides to a story. Always. What side of the story were we never told about the Civil War because the South lost? We'd already agreed to give up slavery. Think about that. Yet we still went to war. So the war was never about slavery. Slavery is wrong. Nobody in this world at this time should ever claim slavery was an okay thing. But that was an economy 170 years ago. When you listen to certain Democrats right now, when they're talking in the Senate, the Congress, they literally claim we need migrants to pick vegetables. How racist can you get? Modern day slavery? Modern day plantations? Does it sound familiar? I mean, if you can't make that connection, then you're letting your feelings get in way of the facts. That's what I'm saying. Don't box me. Don't say that I don't want the border closed or that I was against the convoy. What I'm saying is, Abbott, shut the border, dude. Shut the flipping border and quit playing. Quit playing. Quit shipping them into the center of our nation. Ship them back to their countries of origin. But notice in the video I just showed you, they still had migrants coming through orderly. They're still coming through. And on both sides of Shelby Park, which is probably about the size of the 2 to 5 acres around me, the gates are wide open. So what do the migrants do? They just move on down to a big opening and walk on through. Shelby Park was just a processing center, you guys. It was a big processing center. Abbott took it over. I'm not really sure why, because he didn't shut the border. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Not once you start looking at facts, actual facts. Why did you take over the park? Why don't you take over all of Texas's border? Line up all these National Guards. Refuse them entry. Why can't you do that?
The border. This is why I believe and we believe that you're being totally set up. It's a little bit more of a deep dive, and I've still got to watch kind of what I say. First and foremost, and I'm going to put links to these points I'm making in the description of the video. Who is funding all these immigrants, legal or otherwise, coming up through South America to the border along Arizona, Texas? Who's funding all that? Well, you know what? The United Nations is funding all that. And who's the largest funder of the United Nations?
We are.
the United States.
And the link, you see it right above our head, is the largest funder of the United Nations. And the United Nations is who's setting all these convoys up. They're paying for hotels for the people that are coming. They're setting up camps and passing out maps. They're providing health care. They're providing phones. They're providing money. And in the video that's linked here that you see, you can watch this video. It's going to blow your mind because a couple guys went with one of those convoys from where they're being flown in South America up to another city to come across their border in South America to the next country in South America. And then with all of that, what you're going to watch and see is going to show that even going to the border, you folks that think you're going to go accomplish something, it's not going to happen, man. You're going down there, and I appreciate people saying, do this, do that, and, you're not doing anything from Montana. Listen, it's called a limiting factor. Your limiting factor in trying to even handle this has been set up for decades. Decades. It's going to the border and trying to handle that in that town in Eagle Pass, one city, by the way. And there's another 6 or 7 areas that are just wide open they can walk through. You're wanting to go down there and handle it and be all patriotic is the same as you going to the bar that your significant other is at tonight, cheating on you, and you assaulting the person they're cheating on you with. That person is just an opportunist. The problem you have is with your person of interest and their background and their family history. And your problem is not with that person. It's the same thing as you going down to the border. That probably hurt a lot of feelings. Did I say too much? Probably hurt a lot of feelings. The UN is the largest funder of these immigrants, and you'll see on this Council of Foreign Relations and you'll see on this Council of Immigration Studies, these 2 links, one right here. The immigration studies, the UN is funding this. Look at this from the Council of Foreign Relations. The UN, this is what's happening. So you trying to handle the border town and going down there and putting your family's money, your safety, your freedom at risk. It's not the governments down there doing it. They're just the recipient of the benefits because they're getting benefits to let these people across. If you believe anything other than that, you're absurd. But I love y'all. Let me finish up with this. How can you say red? How can you say red? Now, Hurricane's not saying a lot because I do a lot of talking on things like this, but how can you say red that this has gone on for decades? Did you guys know that the Bush family, 2 of them have been presidents of the U.S., but Prescott Bush ran a bank. It was more of an investment fund. Their assets were seized after World War II because of helping the rise of the party that was doing really, really bad things to people. Again, I don't want to say a lot. That bank was seized, the assets, by the federal government. And yet Herbert Walker Bush ended up in 61, 62 coming out and saying he was working with the CIA. He was also involved heavily in oil and gas. The family had made millions and millions of money during the 30s and 40s, millions of dollars of money. He gets involved in oil and gas, starts making even more, starts working for the CIA covertly, ends up becoming the head of the CIA, and then becomes a House of Representative and becomes a U.S. president. And he even said back then, I'm going to end with this. He even said back then, verbatim, and I'll try to find this video and link this video because he whispered it. He said, this is going to be the new world order. And when we succeed, he whispered that. And when we succeed. So all these people coming across, and he was also, by the way, he also sat on the Council of Foreign Relations, which is who decides where all this money goes within the UN, and how much goes from the U.S. to the UN.
A citizen is different from an American citizen, okay? Mm-hmm. An American citizen, which we are, which you are, which most people are, but they don't know it. An American citizen is guaranteed all rights granted to him, okay? Inherent rights granted to him, okay? Confirmed to him by the Constitution in the original Constitution. We are the benefactors of all rights and all due process of law under the original Constitution, which means we are guaranteed to have all of our rights upheld by that Constitution, which means not only our rights, but all the articles of the Constitution, as well as the preamble to the Constitution. US citizens are totally different. US citizens are citizens of DC, which is a private corporation. It's not part of the United States of America, just like the Vatican is not part of Rome or Italy, or the City of London, the interior city of London, is a corporation and not part of England. So DC, District of Columbia, which we call District of Criminals, is a private corporation, not part of the United States. Therefore, if you are a US citizen, you are a citizen of that corporation. And if you are a citizen of that corporation, you have absolutely no rights guaranteed to you by the Constitution. You are outside the Constitution. We are inside the Constitution. Most people who don't understand the difference, who are US citizens, are outside the Constitution, not entitled to Constitution rights and not guaranteed constitutional rights. The only guarantee you have, okay, is by Congress. And Congress can grant those privileges to you and those immunities to you, which is mentioned in the 14th Amendment, but Congress can also withdraw them. So people have to understand the difference between US citizens and American citizens. And when we talk about vessel, not a corporation or what have you, these are all terms of art to show that you are a US citizen not entitled to constitutional rights. So that's the difference right there. And people really have to understand
And
that.
also because the government of DC operates under admiralty or maritime law, so the word vessel has a very charged meaning. They're looking at the people as if they are merchants, commerce, ships, okay? So we don't use any of those terms. And that very first paragraph sets the tone, as Jack said earlier, declares our status and who we are and in what status we are writing to these public servants who work for us.
And
Okay?
remember,
I love it.
as Margie